Old Fashioned Football and the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Kalshi. Make real money predicting sports. Kalshi is available in all 50 states, and you get $20 free with promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, promo code SGPN.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to and can't see, now you can see me if you're on YouTube. This is J Mark. You can find me in the X at J Mark Football. If you're wondering who us is, that's at Old Fashioned FB. And if you're tuned in, I know what you're thinking. The better half is there. The star, the personality star of the show is not there. You know what? Miranda had a rough day at work and is still working. The work is running into the podcast and the show must go on. So she had to miss this one. She's regrets that. She misses all of you, all the participation that you guys bring. But the show must go on. And let me just say this without saying too much. Better days are ahead. Better days are ahead. So we haven't had a show since the Super Bowl. It's been that long, which, I mean, I say long. The Super Bowl was on the 8th. It's the 26th. So it hasn't even been 20 days. The Super Bowl feels like ages ago. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was not a great Super Bowl, in my opinion. Shout out to the chat. What's up, Jamie? Curious, Jamie, what do you think of the Super Bowl? I'm all for a defensive battle, right? I'm not opposed to that. I'm a Bears fan. I have to be okay with the defensive battles because back in the day, that's all we could do. But it seemed more like offensive inefficiencies and just not a very clean game. Especially the first half. And then Seattle gets ahead 12-0 and they kind of let off the gas a little bit. And yeah, it was not a great game in my opinion, but it is what it is. Even the commercials are disappointing to me. For the people that like, I only watch for the commercials. That was disappointing. It just wasn't my jam. And and Jamie had good food, but that's about it. Yeah, it just, I don't know. Wasn't what I was hoping for. Probably the worst Super Bowl I remember watching. But anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about those two teams, though, the Seahawks and Patriots, and what's next for them, right? Where do they go? We're going to talk a little bit, and by we, I mean me, but I'm going to talk a little bit about, are they making it back to the Super Bowl? Do I think they can make it back this next year, especially? Kind of look at a little pricing there for their division, the Super Bowl, things like that. Talk about some of their free agents. And and then I'm going to talk just briefly on the UFL. We're going to talk a little whiskey, which, speaking of, what am I drinking today? So next Super Bowl, or next Super Bowl, not next Super Bowl, next podcast, which will be our Super Bowl. No, Miranda will be back, and we are going to cover our trip to Keeper's Heart, and we're going to cover their new Keeper's Heart American pot still. But in lead up to that, I'm drinking Keeper's Heart Irish American aged or finished in orange sherry barrels. This is a really good one, especially with the orange notes on it. It's especially good in an old fashioned. So I'll jump into all that in a little bit here, of course. But that's what I'm drinking. We had a great time at the O'Shaughnessy Distillery that makes Keeper's Heart. We'll talk about all that. Just for a brief look at what's coming up in Old Fashioned Football. We're going to be breaking down the draft. We're going to be having some guests on that are very, they follow college football more than we do, and kind of talk about expectations of what teams may do in the draft. We also got the free agency coming up this next month. We're going to break all that down. We're here for you for your NFL news, let you know what you should be betting, a little fantasy football implications. And of course, we're hoping we can get some distillers on to kind of talk about their products and, their distillery. So, all right, before I keep going, get the SGPN app. You got to get it. It's free in your app store, and it has all our picks and podcasts in one easy access app. You just go there and you're like, oh, I want to listen to this now. I want to listen to that. I want to check out this article. It's got everything you need, and it's free. All you got to do is go to the app store and look for SGPN. You won't miss it. Trust me. So let's talk about some news. There's been some NFL news. There's been some movement. Now, you can't sign free agents yet from other teams, but you can rework deals with your guys that are restricted free agents, not the unrestricted guys. And you can extend guys. You can cut guys that are no longer part of your plans. Cap saving cuts. You can do all that, and you can do trades, but they can't be finalized until the new league year starts in March. However, we've had some movement, so let's talk about that. The Cowboys, they started kind of this movement by re-signing Javonte Williams. It was a 3-year deal worth $24 million, including $16 million guaranteed. He showed last year he can be a workhorse guy for them, and he got paid for it. However, $24 million over 3 years is kind of a cheaper deal for a starting running back, in my opinion. So I feel like this is mutually beneficial to both sides. He obviously wanted to stay there, and they wanted him part of the plan. So I really like this move for both of them. I think it's a good move for the Cowboys, and I think he can continue to have success there. They also said that they will be franchise tagging George Pickens, so he will continue to be part of their plan. So you have another year of CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Javonte Williams. The Falcons made some noise as well, or some news, I guess, because they decided Kirk Cousins no longer in their plans. That 3-year, $100 million contract they gave him, they're cutting it now. It is Michael Penix's. It's his team now, I guess. So Kirk Cousins is going to be cut. It's going to be interesting to see where he lands. I highly doubt he gets an opportunity to compete for a starting spot again. Wherever he lands, it's going to be kind of a veteran leader, where it's got to be a place where he thinks that, either they have injury problems, so I'm going to see time, or he thinks he can compete with the starter to be a better answer. Just my opinion. On top of that, the Falcons are going to franchise tag Kyle Pitts while they hope to work out a long-time deal. So they don't want to keep him on that franchise tag. They want to work out a long-time deal, but they're going to tag him just to buy themselves some time, which I'm sure Miranda thinks is a wonderful decision, and I'm sure she's not going to appreciate me saying that when she's not here to defend herself. Now, last signing anyways so far, obviously there's going to be a lot more, but the Commanders re-signed right tackle Andrew Wiley to a 2-year, $7.5 million contract with up to $10.5 million in bonuses. Again, for a tackle, cheap contract, and he started 34 games for them in the last 3 seasons. So, this is it keeps him with the team. He gets to keep that momentum he's had with them, keeps his starting spot, I'm sure, which is good for him. But also 2 years, $7.5 million. That's cheap for a good tackle, and he's been a decent tackle. Speaking of tackles, offensive tackles, the 49ers and 12-time Pro Bowler Trent Williams have been negotiating a contract, but they've struggled to bridge a gap, which could result in the Niners releasing him instead of paying him the $30 million he's due or whatever it is. And then just today, we had a trade hit. This is the first trade of football, again, of the NFL this year. Again, it does not go through until the start of next year. But the Jets are sending defensive end Jermaine Johnson, which I believe they drafted in 2022 with a 4th rounder, to the Titans for defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat, who was drafted, I believe, again, I'm guessing, but I think I'm correct, in 2024 with a 2nd-round pick. So just swapping some pieces there. Also, the Jets having that 2nd pick in the draft makes me feel like they will go for the best edge rusher in the draft. You move Jermaine Johnson out of the way, you're bringing in the guy that's the best in the NFL draft. We'll speculate and talk about all that as we get closer to the draft. And yeah, that's kind of the NFL news. I guess the other NFL news, the Bears have given Tremaine Edmonds permission to seek a trade. A linebacker, he's due roughly 17 million, I believe. He's been a solid player, but I think it's time to move on with that price that he comes with. There's also some rumors floating that Javon Dexter is getting trade calls, or the Bears are getting calls for Javon Dexter. They're getting calls for Tyson Bagent, Special Agent Bagent. And then DJ Moore is also in those conversations. So could be a lot of moving pieces for the Bears, and the Bears might be moving to Indiana. Who knows? We'll see. I can't tell you how many questions I've had from people of, man, if they move to Indiana, are they going to be the Indiana Bears? No, I don't think so. I believe they will remain the Chicago Bears. San Francisco does not play in San Francisco. Dallas does not play in Dallas. They play in Arlington, but they are not the Arlington Cowboys. Who else? Oh, both New York teams play in New Jersey, but they're not New Jersey teams. They're New York teams. I think the people fretting that the Bears name, the Chicago Bears, is going away, that's not going to happen. We're talking about one of the oldest franchises in NFL history. I don't think it's going to go away. I'm just, and that's just my opinion. I could be dead ass wrong, but that's what I feel is going to happen. Anyways, I'm going to talk about what's next for Seattle, what's next for New England. After they both obviously made the Super Bowl with their easy schedules. I know a lot of people think that's why they made the Super Bowl. Maybe that's why it wasn't a great one. I don't necessarily know if that's the case, but we're going to be talking about what's next about them. But before we do, I got to let you know that we're brought to you by Kalshi. Kalshi, a real money prediction market, legal in all 50 states. It has a ton of trading options for your favorite sports. Besides sports, they also have other markets, including politics, entertainment, and even the weather. You can trade anything over there. So, and go ahead and trade Bears to win the NFC North in 2026. I know they have the hardest schedule in the NFL, but Ben Johnson, he is cooking. New Kalshi customers get $20 when they use promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, Kalshi, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has been on a heater for college and NBA picks. Super easy to sign up, run predictions off the house model, or make your own play and play with sliders. And Rhythm is working really well with Kalshi too. Send your predictions straight to the prediction app, and then just make some cash. And if you're looking to go premium, use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. Download Rhythm and use promo code SGPN25. Cheers to that. I am back and going to start breaking down the Seahawks, who they don't have a lot that they're losing that would impact the team. Not a lot of big name players that are free agents, minus one guy really jumped out at me, Kenneth Walker. It's going to be interesting to see if he gets a big payday. I mean, he was obviously the Super Bowl MVP. I say obviously because I assume you knew that. If you didn't, then you probably didn't watch the Super Bowl and you're here for the whiskey. Stay tuned. Yeah, he was a Super Bowl MVP. He's probably going to get a payday, but is that going to come from Seattle? They do have running back Zach Charbonnet, who is still under his rookie contract. So he's going to be there. And I do think he is the future of their running back room. He kind of fits that offense a little bit better. So it's going to be interesting to see if they let Walker walk. See what I did there? So yeah, I mean that's the biggest name that I really saw. There are a couple of other good players that they may look to re-sign, especially in their defensive backfield. I don't think they want to change much there. They may retool it a little bit, but I don't think they're going to want to lose those guys. And that's cornerback Josh Joby, Tariq Woolen, and then safety Kobe Bryant, not the one that played basketball, obviously. Those are all free agents that they may look to re-sign. They also have edge rusher Boye Mafe and wide receiver Rashid Shaheed that they received in that trade that they might look. And they're going to have to re-sign their players or work in the free agency because they don't got a lot of draft picks. They only have 4 this year. Pick 32 in the first pick 32 in the first round, pick 64 in the second, pick 96 in the third, and then they have the Browns 6th rounder. So you got 1, 2, 3, and then you sit around to the 6th round. So they could use some help at center and guard. Linebacker could use a little upgrade, and then cornerback depends on who they do re-sign, who they pick up in free agency. Same with running back. They don't want it all to be on Zach Charbonnet. They're going to want somebody to complement him. Now, whether that'll be Kenneth Walker or some other free agent, we have yet to see. If you look at their 2026 season, they're going to play the Cardinals, the Rams, and 49ers twice. Obviously, that's their division, so they're playing them twice. They're also going to play the Cowboys, the Giants, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bears, and the Patriots at home. So that's interesting, getting the Patriots Super Bowl rematch in the next year. That doesn't always happen. For their away opponents outside of their division, they're going to play the Eagles, Commanders, Broncos, Raiders, and Panthers. So the schedule is tougher than last year, getting that Patriots rematch. The AFC West with Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos. That's tough, and it feels tougher than last year. They're plus 125 to win their division, and I know it's early, And we do have to see what the Rams and Niners do. Now, Matt Stafford is back, but I don't like this price of plus 125. I don't think there's enough value in there for a team that is in a highly competitive division, and they didn't wrap up that division until I think it was week 15 when they weren't going to be able to beat the Rams. So, or the Rams weren't able to leapfrog them, I guess is what I meant. So, but I think the Rams are going to do it this year. So I'm not placing that plus 125. It felt like that this was their window and they hit it. They won the Super Bowl. There are a lot of times you hear analysts talk about like, oh, they have this window to do things, and many times teams miss that window. I'm worried the Bills are one of those. But this felt like theirs. They won the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to be able to repeat next year. They're the odds-on favorite, though, 7.5 to 1 right now to win the Super Bowl. I don't feel like they should be. I think that's a little bit more of what you would call recency bias, because obviously the team that just won the Super Bowl, not losing a lot of pieces, you say, oh, well, that team should have a good chance of making it back. I think they caught a little bit of lightning in the bottle. I don't think it's going to happen. But, you got the Super Bowl hangover, the tougher schedule, which is 14th ranked in the NFL, by the way, for toughness. So not quite middle. And just another year of mileage on Sam Darnold. I know he did great. I just don't see it happening. And speaking of schedules, Bears have the hardest ranked schedule. So we got to judge ourselves accordingly. But again, take them to win the division. And anyways, that's kind of the Seahawks in a nutshell, right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel that they're going to repeat next year. Or not repeat, I guess. That's how I think their next year is going to go. So I'm not laying action on plus 125 to win their division. I'm not taking them at 7.5 1 to win the Super Bowl again. They're not going back to back. I'm going to talk about the Patriots. Cody Zeeb's Patriots in a minute here, but before I do, I got to let you know that Underdog has you covered for pick'em for almost every sport. And if you get in on Underdog, you can win up to 5,000 times. That's a lot of times your cash. Underdog's got a brand new offer. Or just an offer anyways. I feel like I've been saying brand new for a couple months here. So it's just an offer for new customers. Play $5 and get 75 in bonus funds when you sign up using promo code OFFSGPN. I'm also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. Novig is, you're getting the best prices over there. Download the Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5. If you use our promo code SGPN, get on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. Quiet chat today. I understand Miranda's not here. We don't have the back and forth and the giggles. I get it, but let me know how you're doing in the chat. If you're enjoying a drink of whiskey like I am, let me know what you're drinking. And if you're not, consider going and getting one. It's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, if I could talk. So go get yourself a drink. I mean, what's the worst you got tomorrow? Work? It's fine. It's fine. Cheers to that. All right, let's talk about the Patriots. Their offseason looks a lot different, in my opinion, to the Seahawks. Anyways, in terms of draft capital and what they can do. So like the Seahawks, though, they don't have a ton of turnover. Not when it comes to crucial players anyways. I mean, you're always going to have turnover, right? But I would say crucial players, the two main ones I saw are on the defensive line with K'Lavon Chaisson and Khyiris Tonga. Now, Cody's probably going to tell me I said those names incorrectly. But I pronounce them how I hear them in my head. Just so you know, Cody. K'Lavon Chaisson and Khyiris Tonga. They're free agents. They both had pretty good seasons and playoff runs. So it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots decide to re-sign them. I think they should, but that's just my opinion. Mom's tuning in saying, enjoying a burger. You don't drink a burger, Ma. Ma, the meatloaf, the burger. You don't drink a burger, so you got to wash it down with a little whiskey. I mean, that's just how it goes. And why not keep her heart, right? Anyways, so they're losing those two guys on the defensive line. If they don't re-sign them, I think they will make a push to re-sign them. Mike Vrabel, he gets his guys and he likes his guys and keeps them on the team. That's something he's always been good at. So I think he's going to do that. However, if he doesn't, unlike the Seahawks, the Patriots have a lot of draft picks where they can focus some of that energy on the offensive tackle and guard and tackle, which they need help with, as well as edge. If they don't resign Chaisson, they could use some help at linebacker, but they had to They had to, and Dad checking in had an Evan Williams single barrel vintage shot to toast the show. Hell yeah, love that. Let's talk about the Patriots, the Patriots Seahawks. About said, let's talk about the Patriots draft picks, where they have 11 total, which start in the first round, pick 31, second round, pick 63, third round, pick 95, and they have 2 in the fourth. They have the Bears 125th pick, and they have their own 131. They have a fifth rounder, which is pick 169, and then they have 4 sixth rounders. Now I know what you're saying. Well, there's not always a lot of talent in the sixth round. There can be. I mean, look at our running back room. Look at the 7th round Rutgers running back Kyle Monangai, right? In the 6th round, they have 190, 201, 208, 211, and then they do have a 7th rounder, 247. I get it. You don't get a lot of day one starters in the 6th round. 4 picks there do have value though, because you could package those to trade up. Maybe they look and they say, hey, we got a 4th round and 2 6th rounds, or we have 2 4th rounds and 4 6th rounds. Let's take 2 of our 6th rounds, 1 of our 4th rounds, and move up in the draft, and they have the flexibility of doing stuff like that because of all those picks. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Looking at their opponents for 2026, of course, they play their division twice, which is the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. They're going to host the Broncos, the Raiders, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Steelers. And then they're going to hit the road to play the Bears, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and Jaguars. So both teams that played in the Super Bowl, they have to face the Bears, which is also why the Bears are graded out as having one of the toughest schedules. They got to face these 2 teams that made the Super Bowl last year. But so chalk those up as losses. Sorry, Cody. It's a much harder path back to the Super Bowl, right? They have a much tougher schedule. It's the 6th hardest schedule on the year. That's going from having the easiest schedule on the year. Last year, it was the easiest. This year, it's the 6th. This is where you find out what this team is made of, right? Did they only benefit from an easy schedule? Or are they the real deal and they can weather this storm of a hard schedule and get back into the playoffs? They're currently not even the favorites to win their division, though. I will tell you that. The Bills are at minus 120, which I know Cody's going to laugh at. He will say, here's what I think Cody Zeeb, the Patriots fan, will say about this. He'll say, hey, the Bills are a regular season team. It's in the playoffs when they choke. But I also think he would love sprinkling a little bit on plus 130 for the Patriots to win their division. I kind of like that too. I mean, they did it last year. I know it's a harder schedule, but if you look at who they play against, the only real threat, in my opinion, is the Bills. So if you can keep up with the Bills and best them in a couple of games, they win your division. So yeah, I like sprinkling a little bit on the plus 130. It's not a bet that I love, but I don't mind adding that to my portfolio of futures. They're also 17-1 to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm touching that one. I think they had a great year last year, but I think when you add a harder schedule, they have a couple years that they need to continue to add and build, right? Drake May needs to continue to develop for a couple years. I don't know if the Patriots are going to make the Super Bowl again, let alone win it. Shout out to Nick Fortune in the chat. The Bills shouldn't be the favorite. That team is a mess. I agree, but they are. So yeah, Nick Fortune, do you think the Patriots can make the Super Bowl? If you tuned in late, just so you know, I already said I don't think the Seahawks are going to make the Super Bowl. I don't even think they're going to win their division. Now, calm down. I didn't say your Niners are going to win it. I may have gone with the Rams, but better than the Seahawks, right? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe 49ers fans hate them equally. So that's kind of just a look at what's next for the Seahawks, what's next for the Patriots. Before I get to whiskey, though, let's talk a little bit more football because the UFL is right around the corner, a month away from their first game. So don't sit here and put your head in the sand and say, oh, football's over. I'm upset. Football's done. I'm going to miss football. Guess what? The UFL will be here in a month. You got arena ball starting if you like arena ball like I do. You have CFL starting in June. There's plenty of football to go around. But the UFL is the first one that's going to be here. So they've just had a ton of changes to hopefully make the league better. Now, some of the changes I feel are a little gimmicky. Let me tell you what I mean. In the UFL, once you're past the 50-yard line, you can no longer punt. You can't punt. You got to go for it or kick a field goal. Doesn't matter if you're on the 49. You got to punt or you got to go for it or kick a field goal. And speaking of field goals, 60-plus yarders, which have become a little bit more of a standard. Like that used to be, oh my God, he made a 60-yarder. Now it feels like everybody's making it. But the UFL recognizes this. They're like, man, this 60-yarder is a hell of a lot easier than that 25-yard field goal, right? So let's reward these kickers a little bit more. A 60-plus yard field goal is now worth 4 points. It's going to be a lot of points. They're going to the college rule of a catch where you only need 1 foot in bounds. Their idea behind all these changes is the ownership wants more points. I am not of the belief that more points makes better football, right? But I do understand a lot of casual fans. That's what they want. They want these shootouts and these high scoring games, which I say if you like high scoring games, you should be tuned into arena ball. But that's what they like, and that's what the UFL is moving towards. So keep an eye on that. We're going to be briefly touching on the UFL this season. I'll be giving out some of my best bets for the UFL this season, so keep that in mind. We'll talk about some of the news there. We'll sprinkle in a little with the NFL. We're not going to neglect NFL coverage that's important, but we are going to look at the UFL a little bit. And if you're into UFL fantasy football, which you should be, because it's fantasy football, you scratch your itch. Doesn't have to be something you invest money in. It can just be a fun thing. But I will be writing some UFL fantasy football for Alt Fantasy, so make sure you check that out. All you got to do is type in Alt Fantasy in Google. It'll pull up their website, and pretty soon you'll see a couple articles over there for me. So make sure you check those out. Make sure you buy some of their merch. Check out some of their merch and buy it. That's going to help me out. I don't run the site, but I'm working for a little bit of fee there, of like, hey, I'm going to write these. You guys sell some stuff. Just kick me a little of the profit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but let's pad the pockets a little, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying even. That's all we got for football, right? That's all I have for right now. By the way, I want the chat's opinion if they like seeing the comments on the screen, because that can be something that shows up. So Nick is saying hallway now, but I wouldn't even need to throw it on the screen. It's just there already. So if that's something that people like, let us know, because we're not opposed to changing formats a little bit. And while that's up there, I'm going to start talking a little bit of whiskey, which, right on cue. Nick says whiskey is expensive. So yeah, if I'm going to be writing a UFL fantasy, go buy a UFL or Alt Fantasy shirt and help me buy a new whiskey that we can then review on the show. It's full circle, right? It's full circle. Why not? Keeper's Heart. I'm not going to go into our Valentine's Day experience there because I want Miranda here for that. I'm not even going to go into the distillery because if you've tuned in before, you know about the distillery. And if you haven't, we do plan on having Kate Douglas back to talk about it. She's one of their head distillers there. So we'll talk about that. But they're doing very innovative things. They have been from the start. What their idea is, they're going to take Irish style or Irish whiskey, and they're going to mix it with, this one happens to be mixed with rye whiskey. So they mix those, they blend them, I should say. And this particular one is finished in orange sherry barrels. So like I said at the beginning, if you missed it, this is a really good one for old fashions, because what do old fashions have in them? Everybody together now? Orange bitters. Good. And what else do you normally put in your old fashioned, everybody? What do you normally garnish it with? Good, class. An orange. Or an orange peel. So finished in orange sherry barrels. I mean, that's just a no-brainer for a old fashioned, is it not? Now, you can the thing I love about you can definitely smell like the orange undertones from that orange sherry in there. It's got a nice sweet smell. The thing I love about their whiskey is with that Irish whiskey, you get the kind of the pot still spice smell. You get some of the just that lighter tones that Irish whiskey has, But the fact that they're mixing it with rye, which they also have ones they mix with bourbon, you get some of that spice from that rye and everything. And now their most recent thing is a rye whiskey, and that's what we're going to cover next show. It's a rye whiskey that they have made in an Irish style. So they triple pot distilled it like you would an Irish whiskey. I don't want to give anything away, but I did try it when we were at the distillery, and it was fantastic. This finished in orange sherry barrel Keeper's Heart is great in an old fashioned, and this is the part where um this is the part where my parents forget that they've tried it here before. But we've had this one for a while. I think you can still get it at the distillery. But this is the part where it gets awkward being a solo pod. And so that's when it's great with the comments on the screen. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Now, if you're listening on a podcast on Spotify or Apple, you can't talk amongst yourselves. So twiddle your thumbs a little bit, honk your horn at somebody. Why not? I really hope Cody Z was just listening in his delivery truck and honked his horn at somebody. Not a delivery truck, his sales truck, I guess. I don't know what it is. What do you drive, Cody? Depends on the day, I think. Anyways, I'm going to taste this, give you a little flavor profile. Now this has some, I noticed right away, it's got a little bit of heat. It's 110 proof. So it's going to have a little bit of heat that's higher than some of their stuff. They, they have some 100, 110 proofs. They have some that are more standard. But the thing I like about the heat in this one when I tasted it. So let me just kind of walk you through this. Oh, that's interesting. You get kind of like the spices, not just pot still spices, but your rye spice that really hits your tongue and sizzles, very peppery, right? And you get the heat from the 110 proof, which I like because as much as I like the orange undertone, I don't like a sweet whiskey. And so this has the heat and the spice to balance having the sweetness to it. So when I try it, it's like when you smell it, it smells very sweet. And so you're kind of expecting like, oh man, is this going to be almost syrupy sweet or anything? It's not though. It's got the perfect mouthfeel. It's very it's not thin, it's not thick. It's great for the mouthfeel. And that sweetness is just everything about that sweetness. It's just a finish of sweetness because everything is offset with kind of the peppery rye taste and then the pot still spices and the heat from being 110 proof, right? Got this new thing where you don't swish the whiskey, but you chew it a little bit, and it really kind of opens up the characteristics. Well, that threw me off. I singed the hairs on my hand earlier today, and when I went like that, that's what I smelled, and that threw my taste off a little bit. It does not taste like burnt hairs, but I did smell them because of my hand. No, this is a really good one. I don't know if you can order this one online, but I do believe you can pick it up at the distillery unless they've run out of it. But this is a really good one. Keeper's Heart. I gotta, it's easy to say this because okay, so Keeper's Heart has sponsored our listener leagues, right? If you followed us, you know that. Keeper's Heart, we've gone up to their distillery multiple times. It's in Minneapolis. It's a little over a 4-hour drive for us. So it's easy to sound like I'm just saying, oh, this is so good. But honest truth, swear it on the whiskey gods. I have not had a Keeper's Heart product that I don't like so far. There is one, I believe it's the one finished in Angelica barrels, where I'm like, okay, this would be great in a Manhattan compared to drinking on it on its own. That's the only negative thing I have ever thought, and I don't even think that's negative. It's just like it's the flavor profile of it is so much more suited for putting it in a Manhattan, in my opinion, than to drink it straight. But everything they make is just it's great in drinks. It's great on its own. They truly are a high class distillery that makes excellent whiskey, and I think their prices are very reasonable. So it's definitely interesting. And helpful hint: keep your hands out of the fire. Sometimes you just got to play with fire. It was literally playing with fire, sitting at my desk while I was on a call because I was on calls all day, and I guess I got bored, and I was messing with a lighter that's here to light candles whenever I want to light a candle in here. And I was like, hey, I remember when I used to release the lighter gas into my hand and then light it and open it, and you could see it go. Whoosh. I was like, that was a cool trick. My niece and nephew would probably love that. They would think it's really cool. Let me see if I can still do it. And I definitely can still do it, but it did singe the hairs on the back of my pointer finger. So nobody to blame but myself there. I was just fooling around, and it did not hurt. But, as my great granddaddy used to say, more fools get hurt acting a fool, or more people get hurt acting a fool. He wasn't drinking whiskey and messing the saying up, I guess. Anyways, that's all we got right now. Miranda will be back. Do not worry. She will be back. Again, sometimes work is tough and it runs long and it runs into the podcast, and we didn't want to not do one because it has been a while since we've talked to y'all. It has been a while since we've updated, and we didn't want that. But I'm just telling you, better days are ahead. So hang with us, keep supporting us, share it with your friends, ask them to either listen to it or to watch us, even if maybe they don't like football and they just like whiskey. Just say, hey, watch their whiskey segment from this one. It starts at 22 minutes in or whatever. Or, let them know. I know you're not a drinker, but they talk a lot of football. You're going to enjoy their football takes. Let people know that. Or, hey, I know you don't like football. I know you don't like whiskey. But hopefully you find us funny and entertaining, because that is one thing that we've strived to be. And it's funny because people have said, it's just who we are. I mean, we have a good time in life. Miranda and I have a good time in life. We bicker, we poke fun, we laugh, and we hope that some of that reaches you guys and that you have fun as well. We hope you have fun listening to it and just riding along. We love when people jump in the chat. So, maybe you share it with them and you say, hey, jump in the chat and talk with me and talk with them. And they'll answer your questions. Hey, shit, we'll answer questions that aren't football or whiskey. Why not? So anyways, what I'm saying is, if you can share this with somebody, if you can give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple if you haven't yet, subscribe on YouTube. And yeah, just that, all that will help us out. Buy some Old Fashioned Football merch. It's in the SGPN store, sg.pn/store. That might be a backslash, the slash that goes this way. Any of that helps. We appreciate the support. We have some fun plans coming up. We're gonna do, if you enjoyed some of the historic recaps, we are gonna do some more of those coming up, especially in the offseason. I mean, I think that's a great time to recap some historical football, right? But anyways, that is all we have for right now. Shout out to Jamie Perogue, who created us an awesome theme song for the podcast, and that's what we like to go out on. So for now, cheers to you all. And my old fashioned, it's not gone, because when I'm doing all the talking, that's how it goes. I brought myself back because I thought, well, Miranda not here, we'll end the show a different way. So cheers, y'all.
Old-fashioned football.
Yeah. Whiskey in the left hand, microphone in the right. You ready for some football tonight? Pour it up, light it up, crank that sound. Old-fashioned football, we holding it down. J. Morgan Miranda, that power play combo, talking NFL fire, whiskey in the bottle. Bring the ice, cause they dropping heat. Barrel strength bet, knock you off your seat.
Yo, game time, baby. Grab your glass and your phone. Keeping up with stats, single barrel picks, taking over the zone. Props and parlays, blowing up like code. They decode the league like a whiskey mode. Old-fashioned football, that's the crew, that's the fam. J. Mark and me and Mark, you know who I am. 200 episodes deep, grind so fine. Old-fashioned flavor, age like fine wine.
Horrors and NFL drama. What? Turn it up, yeah. Hard news, BT, bring the fire. Come on, old-fashioned football.
Never tired.
Drums and NFL drama. What? Turn it up, yeah. Hard news, BT, bring the fire. Come on, old-fashioned football.
Never tired.
Casual, cool, no suit, no script. Me and Mark twisting that whiskey drip. Chats lit up, community tight. Followers riding through the Monday night.
Week previews, recaps, bet in motion, pure devotion. emotion, no dilution potion. NFL talk bold, unruly. They rock the mic, raw, keep it truly.
Pour another drop, yeah, let it burn. Lines twist up, whoa. Watch them turn, drop that beat, make it shake. No fake, all steak, old fashioned take. What? Say it again, old fashioned.
Louder.
Say it again, old fashioned.
Family.
Football, whiskey,
Respect.
whiskey, respect. Old fashioned football. Say it again, old fashioned.
Louder.
Say it again, old fashioned.
Family.
Oh, whiskey,
Respect.
whiskey,
Respect.
old fashioned football. We ride or die. Yeah. J. Mark Miranda, represent forever.